Hello, everybody. Good morning. We're both here. We're both here. Today's topic is Edo Naze Kebe Nagbe. So Professor Omozuwa is going to be presenting to this lecture. Thank you, sir. What's it, sir?
What's it? Wahia baby, hayo. A lecture na. Ode kan a consonant or iwe. Makagwa kan a consonant. Nikaine, that is a consonant awunu. With the previous lecture, and then abe vowel. So now, makagwa kan a consonant iwe, and the consonant iwe in red do is say eyahin. So on your iwe mi no gain there. Okay now. A consonant iwe is say do me. Mi, ni, wi, ni. Any consonant way send a dome. I me a do, pataki, necessity, tave consonant na, la janwunu, SSMS. So, pan, or I send a agbeyota, gbeyoto. Emani buma so be abe consonant na agbene yoto aga ranto emi no sie be ogaze pe be iwe na ebe na maka ru eji abe teso be do abe teso be bu. Allo o maime on your letter. Allo maime okyonpa. That's a single letter of the alphabet. Yagbene evave uwe consonanti wena. Vene analo o maime agbeva yagbene eha nike. Uta no mwe a consonant sena para lo yan vedo na zekebe na gbe kegre were local opo pare evawunu here e oredo ina a I, O, U. Ave vowel nuna galele abe oberama. Buwe peme, uwe ifieme. Rija ave vowel na, ave vowel nuna. Hia vowel we. That is, anytime you have any of these oral vowels, there are 7 in number, as I have called them: A, E, I, O, U. So whenever any of the oral vowels come after, whenever any of the oral vowel comes after a nasal consonant, that oral vowel is automatically realized as a nasalized vowel. So we see details of this later. On Asia, I now hear, oh my, that is a letter. The letter N. I hear by a vowel ne olelian, olelian, we obey one. We are so whenever you are writing, anytime you are writing, you don't need to add the N after a vowel that immediately follows a nasal consonant, any of the 5 nasal consonants. Where I started with Benin, I will let Agbeva A-N E sub dot N I-N O sub dot N kewe U sub dot N lele Iran. When I na setting Benin lele have a consonant now. So you have 4 other oral consonants that cannot go with the digraphs, the 5 digraphs as we have seen above. So the oral consonants are VB, L, W, K, Y. So whenever you are writing, you don't need to add the digraphs A-N, E sub dot N, I-N, O sub dot N, and U sub dot N after these oral consonants. These are, basic rules, basic writing rules in the Edo language. And uhi kankan na wahi we do nagbe. Umiana Peru swemine ave ukagwalo lo we ho ni are ehinomakere or ehinomake zore we ne oyagwan. So this is one of the, okay, I will explain that later. Then number 2, Okpokpare evawunu ihion ni redo. Yes, here oberoma. Okay, abi a consonant huena. Here setting ya here evawiwe. That is, obagobo. That's obiyoma. Sorry, I think I said oberoma. So, ave evawunu ihion nakamula diansi. Yana are obiyoma. Ave a consonant ihwe is na guankana. Here setting ya. If you evawiwe. When you are setting vawunu nore oberomaya. So these are very, very, basic rules that must be observed while writing Edo. In other words, when any of the 7 oral consonant vowels, the 7 oral vowels, precede a nasal consonant, any of the 5 nasal consonants, they cannot be realized as nasalized vowels. Whereas when they come after any of the 5 nasal consonants, they are automatically realized as nasalized vowels, as we'll see, as we proceed. Okay, this is exactly what I have said in Edo previously. The 5 nasal consonants in Edo constitute a natural class in the sense that they automatically spread nasality onto any oral vowel that comes after them in words and larger utterances. However, they are not able to spread nasality onto an oral vowel that precedes them. This means that nasal spread on vowels in the language, as it is in other linguistically related languages, is only a rightward phenomenon. So it is only when the oral vowel is after the nasal consonant that it can be nasalized. It becomes a nasalized vowel. But the one that precedes that nasal consonant cannot be, nasalized, as an anticipatory nasal phenomenon. It is not possible. So that is why all Edo words, all Edo nouns begin only with oral vowels. They cannot begin with a nasal vowel. You cannot have any Edo word that will begin with a nasal vowel as you have it in some other languages, like English. So we will see more of this later. This is why the digraphs AN, E subdot N, IN, O subdot N, and U subdot N are not written after any of the 5 inherent nasal consonants in the language. In other words, the letter N should not be added to the vowel after a nasal consonant. These are basic rules that you don't find in any of the books. When we were learning Edo in the primary school, and even now, when they are, it's in a few schools that you have Edo being taught in schools. Nobody tells you about these basic rules. If we have been taught these basic rules, as at the time we were being taught Edo language in the primary schools, I'm sure many of us will be able to write Edo. All of us will write it in a uniform way, like you have, Igbo written in a uniform way, Yoruba written in a uniform way. None of us were taught any of these rules. And these are basic rules that once you follow them to the letter, you will see that everybody will be writing Edo in a uniform way. The predictable nasal spread is one of the robust factors used by forensic phoneticians in profiling the speakers of such languages. Well, this is an applied area, an area in applied phonetics. When, you may have heard of speaker identification and all that. So, experts in that area, they rely on such, like this predictable nasal spread in Edo, to profile, most of our African speakers, when it concerns crime and all that, that is speaker profiling. So let us now look at the various consonants, that is the 5 nasal consonants. No kawo, well, a vowel, alwe, o mane, o kyonpayagbe. That is, these are nasal consonants. You use single letters of the alphabet to write. Like we have, been saying in previous lectures, what you have in red there is the way the sound is pronounced. That is me in this case. And then what you have in green is the letter of the alphabet that is used to write it. So you have the sound, which is me, and then you have the letter, which is M. They are not the same. Well, when you look at this, the structure of both, they are exactly the same, but the reality is that one is a sound and the other is a letter. So you have that sound in ome. You see, the air that follows the nasal consonant is automatically nasalized. You cannot have an oral vowel anytime you pronounce a nasal consonant in Edo. It's not the same like that in English. So we must take that notice of that. Then you have it in Ema. You have it in Amen. So the pictures are there. And then you have it in Amen. Amen. You can see that when Amen is written, the subdotted letter E is not followed by a nasal, the letter N, because the nasality you perceive, that is the N in Amen, is the result of the nasal consonant that precedes it, that spreads nasality automatically onto it. And then you have, the same phenomenon in Ama, that symbols, as you have this, the picture of symbols there, that is Ama. You can see, the tone. You see, you cannot pronounce any Edo word without the appropriate tone. Each word has its tone. If you don't use that tone appropriately, then you'll be seen as not speaking Edo. So Ama, you see the falling tone there. And that is why in writing, we use double letters to indicate that, double letters with an acute accent on the first letter A, and then a grave accent on the second letter A. So to guide, when you see that, that is how it is appropriately pronounced, Ama. But if you just write it with only A, many people will not know whether that is in writing. And that is why many people say, Edo is a very difficult language to learn and all that. It's not difficult. It's because right from the beginning, when it was taught in schools, many things were left out, were taken for granted. But when we write it like this, it's to guide people how to accurately pronounce it, especially, the non-Edo speakers. Like I said, a native Edo speaker will pronounce it normally. But when it comes to writing, it becomes a problem. Then we still have the mi in Amaze. Amaze, you see the picture of Amaze there. And then we have it in Emi. Emi, that is thickness. You can see this one is thicker than this one is thicker than this, and this one is thicker than this. So that is Emi, of Emi. So these are things, we must look at. Then, Rumohi. So you can see there, I deliberately put the O after the mi in, I represented it in letter blue. To let you know that even though that O ordinary doesn't have an inherent nasal vowel, it doesn't exist as an inherent nasal vowel like you have A and A, E and E, and E, like you have O and O, then U and U. You don't have that for O and O, but when it is in the environment that is following a nasal consonant, it is automatically nasalized like any other vowel in that position. So that is a rumoi. You can see the bird there, the bird that is called a rumoi in Edo. And then Oduma. Then we have it in Emila, where the E sound after the mi is automatically nasalized. And then you have it in Amuge, that's the fruit there. So you can see that any oral vowel cannot be found in the environment, that is when that vowel follows immediately a nasal consonant in Edo. So this is another thing that must be, taken in. I mean, you must know, because every Edo person, they pronounce it without actually thinking about it. This is only linguists and phonologists that will impute all these things based on how native speakers actually pronounce them. Then you can see again in Umozo, the O is now nasalized. Ordinarily, the O doesn't have a corresponding nasal vowel. Then you have the A after the Mi becoming A in a maton. You can see in all these cases, I do not need to add N after the vowel that is in writing, the one under. I do not need to add N after, because the nasality you perceive is the result of the preceding nasal consonant. Then, in Omobo, when you pronounce it, you will perceive that nasalized sensation. Then over there, emite, the picture is also there. Then the next nasal consonant is the Ni. And the second one, a consonant way, nuko giver. Now you let that is single letter of the alphabet. So a Ni, Unu. So you can see in each case automatically, you have a nasalized vowel after a nasal consonant. It's a basic rule in Edo, and that is why you'll be able to know whether it's speaking Edo or especially when you are in a different environment, like in the European environment, when somebody pronounces a word having any of the nasal consonants, you will know the way the person will pronounce it, that, oh, this person is not an English person. But English, we do not be London or something. When they grow up, they speak exactly like the British people. They will not have that same, feature of, a rightward nasalization of any consonant after a nasal consonant. So you see, for instance, when you have an English word, C-O-M-E, the English will pronounce it as calm. The vowel between the key and the mi is not nasalized. But when you ask an average Edo speaker to pronounce that, he will say come. So these are basic things that we must take note of. And it is because of that rule that exists in Edo, the rule of progressive nasal assimilation, that is responsible for that. Then you have, the same in Inia, and then Unie, the Inia is a root, and then Unie is a type of, it's used for medicine and even pepper soup by some people.
Spice.
Spice, thank you, my sister. That's it. Yeah, that is spice. Then you have the ni sound which is written with the letter N in the word, the borrowed word, a penny. A penny. So you see here, you have 3 syllables in the word a penny. So if you look at the way it is written, there are 2 N's there. The 2 N do not belong to the same syllable. The first N belongs to the second syllable, that is E, and then the second N belongs to the third syllable beginning with the ni. That's why you have a penny. So when many people are writing it, they just use a single letter, and it is completely wrong because they didn't follow the rule of syllabification. Then you also have it in a penny. That is from the English word pin, P-I-N, pin. Okay, so you have the double letter N. The first one belongs to the second syllable, and the second N belongs to the third syllable. So they are not, it is the second one in green that is actually pronounced phonetically. That is why it is in red there. Whereas the other one is a digraph that is realized either as in a penny or as in a penny. So let us note that also. Agamia where Amarie letter N. Agamia where Amarie a letter N by a vowel. Yanile a consonant way. We give na viola diana. Runda okay ya here a vowel when. So my idea a letter N by A. So you have here a pen, the pen I just explained. It is only one N that you perceive when pronounced. The first N belongs to the second syllable. It forms a digraph in the second syllable. That is the N. So you have a penny. So the ni, the second ni is what you hear. That's written in the letter N there. A penny. So in writing, you have 2 letters. One is a digraph with the preceding vowel, whereas the other one, it forms a syllable with the last vowel. A letter giver, E subdot N, ayagme eva wihwe ore syllable ne ogeva rumunda we olele a consonant nu. Rumunda we olele a consonant nu. Rumunda ne rumunda nanamie where aga zedo take consonant we ya a vowel here ni lelia ikian a vowel ihwe you see the letter N agbon by with that syllable the ni. As stated earlier, in Edo, as it is also the case in other linguistically related languages, nasal spread onto a following oral vowel by a preceding nasal consonant from left to right is a common phonetic feature. It is for this reason that the letter N is not written after such oral vowels. The nasality of such vowel is not inherent, even if it has the same nasal quality as the corresponding inherent nasal vowel. So what you are saying is that the E you have in he, the E you perceive there is the same nasal quality as the E that you have in Emi. That's the me, the E in Emi. So that is what is said there. So they are derived from the preceding nasal consonants. In the Edo borrowed word, a penny, the digraph E sub dot N is an inherent nasal vowel found only after oral consonants, except after the VB, after the L, after the W, and after the Y. Whereas the nasality perceived in the third syllable is the result of nasal spread. Hence, the letter N is not needed in writing the syllable, the third syllable. So you don't need to add N after the NI there. So a consonant way na lo mame agbevayagme. Hello? Hello? What's happening? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, because I was hearing the vibration. So the first one is the mi, which is written with the digraph MW. So you have that sound in Ifene. So the mi there automatically nasalizes the E after it to make it E in Ifene. But the M before it, before the M, the E before the mi is an inherent nasal vowel because it follows an oral consonant. So you can see when you apply these rules to the letter, you will have a very uniform way of writing any Edo word. Then you have the same me in Umehe. The me, over there, Ahiame. You can see there is the before the me. That has nothing to do with the me at all. It is an inherent nasal vowel. And that is why it is able to follow the oral consonants. Hello? Then you have it in Ugama. And you can see the way it is written here. In Ahiame, the AN is the digraph for the A, whereas the mi is MW that nasalizes the E to become an E. So you have Ahiame. Then Ugama, the same thing. The AN we always follow an oral consonant, other than the four that we said they cannot follow. So, but here they follow the ri, and so you have u, ran, wan, 3 syllables too. Then over there, the word omeme. You can see, as we said earlier, the first vowel before the nasal consonant can never be nasalized. It will always be an oral vowel. That is a phonetic rule in the Edo language. But anything, any vowel that comes after a nasal consonant is automatically nasalized. So, the after the R is an inherent nasal vowel because it comes after an oral consonant. But this after the V is nasalized. It's not inherent because it is acted upon by the preceding V, that's the preceding nasal consonant, as you have it in such position in any other word. Then, anytime I pronounce any nasal consonant, any vowel after it is always nasalized. You can never have an oral vowel after a nasal consonant in the Edo language. So again, in Arumoto, the O, the O here is nasalized because it is following a nasal consonant. The V in this case, Arumoto. The V, Orome. So we have two Orome. One is the bird, and then the other one is the star. As you have it there, Orome Atieva, Orome. And then you have the V in Olumu. You have it there, Uhumu. That's medicine in English. Uhumu. Olumu is pear, as you have it there. Then the V, you have it there, Erumudiaria. Erumudiaria. You have it there, Ekpapahumagan. But you see, in rapid speech, many people will simply say Ekpapahuagan, because of the phonetic process of elision in the language. Because in that position, the V, it's not going to be phonetically realized in rapid speech. So you simply say Ekpapahuagan. The V, Idioma, Agbame. A consonant winner. Obere, Ipeme, Ebo, Ebringlisi. In the English word emphasis. You see, this M, the letter M there, because in the English rule, what we call homogenic nasal assimilation, it's going to be, it's going to have the same place of articulation as the following oral consonant. In this case, is the phi, the sound phi, and so you have emphasis. Any Edo speaker can pronounce that, correctly, because they have the V in their language, and the English people, they have it in only this particular position. It doesn't exist as a phoneme. It doesn't exist on its own. It is only in this context that you have the V featuring in English. The nasal consonant mi is the result of homogenic nasal assimilation in the English example above, since it has the same place of articulation. They are both labiodental sounds as the oral consonant F, that is the phi in that English word that comes after it. Mi does not exist as a phoneme in English. Well, you will find this symbol representing the same mi we have been talking about. But this symbol is actually a nasalized bilabial sound. They are not the same. Bilabial place of articulation is different from the labiodental place of articulation. So, all the words that were written like this in the past is because at the time, they were writing all these things, the linguistic science had not, developed up to the stage it is today. As you can say, the nuclear stage it is today. So it cannot be a substitute for the me in any way. So this is the second sound you use digraph to write. And that is the we. There is no Edo, speaker. Well, let me say an average Edo speaker that cannot pronounce the we. But when they are writing, they know that they want to write the we, but they don't write it the way it's supposed to be written. Instead, they write it, following the Yoruba tradition. And when you follow it, what you have in Yoruba is not the we, that is we. We is different from we. If you, well, we'll come to that later, as you also have it in the nyi. So you have in unwome, every Edo sound is well articulated. So you have unwome, and then you have onwe. Then you have the same way in onwo. That is the insect there. That's the insect. And then onwo, the liquid that comes, the result of that process. They are both onwo, as you can see in the pictures. It's raining heavily here. Then Winnie, oh you're there. Oh, one. That's the bird, beautiful one. And then over there, Engwinya are the ticks. The ticks you find, on dogs and all that. It's a blood-sucking insect. Then over there, Awan. Over there, Awan. So you can hear we, which is well articulated there. Over there, Unwanwe. It's a type of shrub in the bush. Unwanwe. This shrub is what they use in producing hose, the local hose, the stick. They put it because it has a kind of, is it wild shape something there? As you can see it in the picture. Then over there, a window. Enwido. So when an average Edo person is pronouncing the English word window, they will say Enwido. They pronounce it window if they are pronouncing the English word, but it's borrowed into Edo as Enwido. Ununaze gote manekwi okpa na mie abe consonant na onyo bi kere wi ununaze oge bo okpa but ore ununaze so be the Asian, some of the Asian languages, like in Numia, the black community there, they have the B, and the win. Okay? Ave boya setting. Tyler Jabunu. So, yeah, for instance, according to their syllable structure, where, this is the word egbo, and they will say egbo. They first of all have egg and then bo. Whereas an average Edo person will say gbe, egbo. It's a single word. That is why you have that symbol on top of it to let you know that it is a single sound. It's a single sound. Okay? The labial consonants P, B, and W are found only in some African languages and some Asian Pacific languages. Like the Numia, there's a place Numia, it's a black community in Asian Pacific. They have those same sounds. This is why speakers of the Indo-European languages are not able to pronounce, for instance, P, B, K, W. The P in Egbo correctly, they will say Egbo. That is egg and then bo separately. Whereas an average Edo person will pronounce it as a single sound, Egbo, B. So the third sound that we use digraphs to write in Edo is the N, as you have it, that is the digraph NY. N, as you have it in Anyo, as you have it in Inya, as you have it in Enyi, Enye, Anya. Anya is athletic foot, as you can see there, and then Enyanya, somebody yawning. So that's the Ni. And then Unyere. This is a plant that is called Unyere. And then you have the rat that is also called Unyere. The Ni. Then over there, Unyegbe, where this, it's not the actual Unyegbe we used to have in Edo, where this, it resembles it, Unyegbe. And then you have it in Enyae. But you see, because of this sound that is always elided, we say in rapid speech, Enyae. But the full form is Enyae. And then you have it in unyomu. Unyomu. You see, the same way the ni nasalizes the u immediately following it is the same way the mi nasalizes the u that follows it. So it's a common phonetic rule because they belong to the same category of sounds that are called nasal consonants. And then another oninye, you know, like that's newscaster when Tima in NTA, Tima lady Abemo. Then the ni very onyeme. If an onyeme say, you can see they are happy. Onyeme sian. Onyeme. The ni is always there. So ulame nina. Either English. Well, we say English. Okay, here. So quand orebe efiansi, orebe Italy, orebe ikotoki, kebe ore Spain. Zavigemi, you have the word in French pronounced as liam. Okay, liam. So that is our yam, and then you have it in champagne, and then that is champagne, and then you have it in Seigneur, you know, that is God in French. Then, you know, it's the same thing in other, what we call the Romance languages. The Romance languages are French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, and, you know, Romania. So those are the Romance languages. They are derived from, you know, Old Latin. The English language does not have the palatal nasal consonant ni. However, the sound is present in the Romance languages, that is French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. Examples are liam, champagne, Seigneur, and then, you know, that is in French. You know, it's the same in Spanish, for instance. You have señora, for those who speak Spanish. The difference between this sound in these Romance languages and Edo is the force of articulation. It is soft in those Romance languages, whereas it is strongly pronounced in Edo. So when you say Seigneur, if I say Seigneur, you know, they will automatically know that I am not a French native speaker because of the way I say Seigneur. So, but it is soft, Seigneur. And that is where we come to the, you know, the influence of the Yoruba language on, you know, our Edo language. We'll come to that. So, aramie where areva aramie eva wiwe Edo. No ka okere eva wiwe isen no le consonant unueso. Enakwa aye letter gbe vagbe. And the an written with an, the written with e subdot n, then the e written with in, and then the o written with o subdot n, and then the u written with the letters, that's the digraph un. We talked about this earlier on. however we way no giver. Naga eva wunu ihion ni le consonant way ni redo. A consonant way yi wa yi an wa kian eva we way we hene wa ye ni. Ona sia ene aina here a letter N bayan wa ga gbene ipeme ra ifiere ni aje. Eva wunu inserting lele a consonant way we do. That is part of the rules we are talking about. Eva wunu inserting lele a consonant way we do. And other vowel cannot come after a nasal consonant in the language. But you can have it in English, you know, in some positions in French and so on and so forth. So now we are coming to some explanations of what we have been saying. Where atai sewunu so pan I gbon yo to say atai sewunu so pan I gbon yo to say. Ara la ase fena riema where ibie do ni bu wa seti ta wi kebe ni la dia wonu so pan iama ige ya bele yoto zabi giving. Let's look at the examples. Now, if you look at the left, the one I've highlighted, that is, if you look at the way it's written under, you will see that it is not properly, it's not, you know, the nasal consonant we is not represented in writing here. So if you take a one sound, one letter, the first O, this is supposed to be, what the correctly written as Onwe. So this is O, written with the letter O here. And then this is the we. It's an oral sound. It's an oral consonant, which is written with the letter W. And then this E sub dot N represent the sound A. So in the real sense, this is supposed to be pronounced as Owen, Owen, Owen. But I don't see any average adult person that will accept that as the equivalent of Owen. Owen. It's not the same as Owen. Okay? But this one is, what was adopted, from the English. You see, you have this O-W-E-N as a name in the English language, but it is not the same way it is pronounced in English. In English, you don't even have, any sound like the wind there at all. It's pronounced Owen, 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 right? But when you ask our people to pronounce the same English word, O-W-E-N, they will say Owen. And that is why they write the name Owen, which is representing the setting sun, okay? Owen you get. It's we. We don't say Owen you get. It's not acceptable in a door. It's Owen. It's the same way. You don't say yeah, as you have, because this is the E representing that sound. This is the letter I representing the sound E in that word. And then this is the letter Y. It's not a nasal consonant. It's an oral consonant, the Y in ear. So But it is this IYAN is adapted from the Yoruba language, where, for instance, they would say in a name like Toyin. You don't hear that N pronounced there, but they write it Toyin, but they pronounce Toyin. But if I say, if you are in the Yoruba circle and you say Toyin, they say this like Kobo Kobo, because you have not pronounced it the way they pronounce. But because of the influence, and that is one of the sad episode of that is after the punitive expedition. The English people subjected the Edo people under the rulership of the Yorubas, especially administratively. And so the books that were written, they were now, after the Yoruba sound. But you can find that, like the P, Edo has P, that we use the letter P to write. But the Yoruba does not have the P sound, and that is why, they just write the P to represent the sound P, which is already, a misnomer in a strictly phonetic analysis. Okay. Now, let us see why this is the correctly written forms. You have the letter O there. The letter O here, representing the sound O. And then you have the digraph NW representing the sound W. And then you have the letter E. You see, it is oral. And then up there, it is nasalized because of that rule that says anytime an oral vowel comes after a nasal consonant, it is automatically nasalized. So this is the, even though many people will pronounce onwe, but they will write something different. This is the correct way of writing onwe for the reasons already given. The same, this NW is not new. It has been in the Edo orthography, as you will find in Mezia, published 1937. Then you have it in Thomas and what is this other guy? They published their own work in around 1909. So it was already in use. It's because of that influence of the Yoruba administrative, influence on the Edo people, that when in schools, we now write it the way they write IYAN. They will say Inyon, Inyon, Inyon. But we say Inya, Inyon. So we must take note of that. You can see the NY here represents, that's a digraph, represent this single sound, Ni, Ni. Then this R, which is oral, is now nasalized by that preceding nasal consonant. So we see, if we follow the writing rules as proposed here, you'll find that everybody will be able to write Edo in a very uniform way. And so on and so forth. So we must be able to have a uniform writing system if we follow these prescriptions. Then you have the when people write Enya like this, it's wrong. When you write Enya like this, it's wrong, because you have this, the first sound there is oral, the second sound yi is oral, and then the third vowel is also oral. So if you use this diagram will represent the and the vowel cannot spread nasality backward onto another vowel. But we just assume that, once you write Y-A-E-N, you have written a yan. It's wrong. So this is the correct way of writing it. You have this sound. The first E there is represented by the letter E with a subdot. And then you have the N, which is a nasal consonant, represented by the digraph NY. And this, it is this sound, N, that spread nasality onto the oral vowel that follows it, that renders it, a nasalized vowel. There is the R that was not taken into consideration in the current way we write it. So that R, as we have always said, is elided. And when it elides, you now have the N that is nasalized by the N preceding the E that, is represented by the digraph as you have it there. So you have enyae, but the full form is enyae, enyae. The R, is pronounced in the full form. But if it is elided in rapid speech, you now have enyae, enyae. So you can see why correct. Then you have other, words, like you have the name. I have a cousin, that is Enwine. The father, very old person, used to call this lady that time when he was young, Enwine. So, but with the elision of the R, you have Enwine. But the way it is written currently by many people that bear that name is wrong, because you have the E, as I explained earlier, that E is written with the letter E subdot N. And then the W is an oral consonant, which is written with the letter W, as you have it there. Then the following sound is A, and then written with the letter A. And then the digraph, E subdot N, represents the sound E. So you can see why it is wrong to write it this way, because this E you have there has something to do with the you perceive when that word is pronounced. It is only when you write it correctly in this form, that you have the normal pronunciation, like Enwine, Enwine. When the R is elided, that is when this R is elided, you now have Enwine. So the one and the the A and the E do not belong to the same syllable. You see, this is the first syllable, and then this is the second syllable, one, and one. And then if this one is elided, you now have and wine, and wine. That is the way it is. So, once it is correctly written, you'll be able to know where a sound has been elided, if it is going to be elided, and so on and so forth. In this case, it is because this R is elided that people just say wine. Then when they are writing it, they use the letter W without indicating the presence of the nasal consonant in writing. So that is the problem. Then you also have it in Onwina. Onwina. So as it is now, it is Owi now that you have here. Owi now. If you write it, this way, Owi now, because this one is an oral vowel, this is an oral consonant we, and this is an oral vowel e, and this is the nasal consonant ni that spreads nasality onto the next vowel to the right to make it and so you have owi na, and that is not the correct way of pronouncing it in Edo. Even those who pronounce it well, they write it wrongly. But if you look at the correct way of writing it, you have the O written with the letter O, and then you have the W written with the digraph NW. And then you have the E, because it's a falling tone, we use the, the two letters there, O-wina, then the Ni that spreads nasality onto the A. And so you have, this one is supposed to be nasalized there, The nasal symbol is not, in this particular case, it's an error, so we'll correct it. Then you have again in this, representation. Onyeme is what they wanted to write, but what they have written here has something to do with onyeme at all. You have this letter, the sound O indicated by the letter O with a subdot, and then the sound Y indicated by the letter Y. This is not an oral consonant. We must note that. And then the A here is indicated with the letter E subdot N as a digraph. So we assume without considering. And then the MW is written with the digraph. Is the V is written with the digraph MW. And then you have the A after MW, which is now again E subdot N. That is double marking of nasality, which is, out of place. But if you look at the correct way of writing it to the right, you have the O written with the letter O with a subdot, and then you have the N written with the digraph NY, and then you have the E, that's the E with a subdot, representing the E, which is the result of nasality, that's rightward nasal spread, and then MW representing the sound me, which spreads nasality onto the next vowel, making it a nasalized vowel. That is, a more logical way of analyzing this fact than what you have in the to the left. So these are things we must look at, when we are writing a do. Aga kakabo baro ke koto ye gemine no re agobo. Aga mie were a letter gbeva en kegilele a consonant unu y, which is already a wrong, that is, you are breaching the law already, because it is said that the digraphs cannot follow this this letter Y, for instance. When a consonant way MW, it cannot also be written after MW. That's the digraph E subdot N. On a keye, no maheke, zave uhine akagwakansi. Uhina we aigbene the letters, that is the digraphs A-N, E sub dot N, I-N, O sub dot N, K-U-N. Lele consonant you know. That is here and Neno. That's V-B, L, W, and Y. Zavene, I make bene, in lele consonant you M, MW, N, NW, and NY when you are writing Edo. So you don't write, those 5 digraphs after 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are oral consonants. That's VW, L, W, and Y. No diagram representing a nasal vowel should be written after those oral consonants. The same way they are not written after the M, they are not written after the MW, they are not written after the N, they are not written after the NW and NY. For instance, when you say ne, it is simply N, the letter N, and E sub dot, that is ne. You don't add an N after it. So that is the rule. A careful study of the examples above reveals that the digraphs E sub dot N follows the oral consonant Y and the nasal consonant MW, thereby breaching one of the rules discussed earlier, which states that the digraphs AN, E sub dot N, IN, O sub dot N, and UN are not written after the oral consonants VB, L, W, and Y, and the nasal consonant M, MW, N, NW, and NY in Edo. So this another, wrongly written word we have to look at. Igbina. Igbina is written by many people like this. But in actual sense, when you pronounce it following the one sound, one letter representation, this is one sound, one letter representation. You will have Igbia, which is not, Edo at all, because this sound is represented by the letter I. This B is represented by the digraph GB, and then this E is represented by the digraph IN, whereas the letter and the sound R here is represented by the letter A. So when you pronounce it, it's Igbia. Whereas if it is written correctly, because we have 3 syllables here, it's a 3-syllable word. Excuse me. The first sound in the word is E, which is represented by the letter I, E. Then the second sound is B, which is represented by the digraph GB. And the third sound is E, which is represented by the digraph IN. And the fourth sound is Ni, which is represented by the letter N. And this sound is what spreads nasality onto this to the other R. So you have, 3 syllables. The E is 1 syllable, B is 1 syllable, and then Na is another syllable. So you have 3 syllables, E, B, na. And so when you are writing it, there has to be, if you write 2N here, it is not, consonant cluster as some people will want you to believe. They belong to 2 different syllables. This one is that the two letters there represent a single sound. I. You don't hear the ni in pronunciation at all. It's I. Then the second ni you have is what spread nasality onto the oral vowel following it, and you now have na. So igbina. So it's a very simple and logical way of thinking. Wahiabi daho. Saying not.
What's this, sir?
Yeah.
That was so much in depth. So I'm not by here, not I mana not how not any one not a go ahead.
What not?
Well, I got here no. Ninoya. Amuge. Mete where omuge ge uge ni oirae ge omoe eno.
Water. Well, but I mean my map, yeah, but actually, it's more uge. Uge is the tree. So it's muge sometime, and somebody said, oh, I mean, when it's in a way. So when you now, I know that it is the tree because I know a whole lot of trees. The names on trees. Uge at that tree. Whereas moya nadia awe omuge.
Omuge ni ai.
Exactly.
My amuga.
No, I mean when it's ready. Amuge.
Yamao.
Mami, Mwe so even in a way, right here, no, Wamuge, in a way, Muge, in a way, Amugati, in a way. Where we are tired of them, and no Zumiana, they were what and it can wear your.
What's it?
That Omuge make our way.
Omuge,
when I'm your man, Omuge. Okay. Any other question? So when you tie now, and that is what I actually believe in, I will change it. I will change that particular.
What's it? Amugeni o e mata no ro e amugeni. Ya fi egweri manado me mi na ya set ya fi mi gweri no kwere ni mata.
Exactly.
Akwere no mata gbe so egi mi na ya ka.
Exactly.
Egi mi na ya ka oni o e mata no ro.
Exactly.
Omugeni o mi na ya ka. Ogi o ma gie.
Exactly. Like you have
Omera. Okay. What's it?
More questions? And let me also remind us that so far with these 5 nasal consonants, we have 39 sounds. Nae nana dosema. Adere oviedo rokwaro obema. Nowhere okparo ne ulano redo. When in a name. Now, when my wife here work vowel, those this nasal consonants, they are 39. That is 7 other vowels, 5 nasal vowels. That's 12. Then 22 other consonants. If you add 22 to 12, that would be 34. And then 5 nasal consonants. If you add that to 34, that makes 39. So if I need 37, the American and I'm young.
It's always 24.
24 ni ka wa be bedo na no primary school again. My one by the gbarun as exactly the same way English you have with the exception of 2 sounds.
You want you so buy you pe.
Yeah, it's way 32.
32.
It's way 37. But when man na day na ya so lecture na. Why 39 no.
Why we say omani. Mabega manedo. Marere afievi gwedie marere die.
You know.
Mare eminaka mi manede.
Agwa we gba
na do doleji. My hold marere die. We are very, very conservative.
That's it.
So on your logon seki mami.
Yes.
When I wear Odena no not live in Yana. Oh, where you kaya
Exactly. Oh, where area water. Oh, where area kagbon.
So when I even agbon enaki. No kake na Korea your body. No me naga rufie na Korea
Agbon here do agbedo lo bokpa.
Lo bokpa.
When abigbo. Yeah, we gbe lo bokpa. Exactly. Yoruba mo riyan. Hausa mo riyan. Ogiba ke ilu kan.
Ogima lugaru there. Mami okpari no ka gbe dictionary oga dogo be Germany. Obi do mano. Iye nwe buyan yado agbendo.
Utane. That's it.
And that is why yado agbendo. Oni makaso lele. Oni o si ologo wa na jogi ma yagbe.
Every English. Now we go to buy.
Oni wa no. Eni me ho di ka bogun akan onu ka boye ka bogun ani eme.
Hello?
Any bedo.
Where?
Ni or N.
N is the letter. Of course, on your ni.
Anyone ni. You want to get a bong one never mamma say anyway.
Mommy N1. On your diagram, that is 2 letters together representing 1 sound.
Okay.
Letter beaver.
Letter beaver.
Letter beaver.
A letter beaver ni that's right. The letter Y, but it represents the sound Y. Y. That's Y represents the letter, the sound Y. Just as you have the letter W representing the sound we. Those are oral sounds. They have nothing to do with the we and the ni.
Okay.
When I will letter with MW, I will letter with those other two sounds. That is NW and NY. So NW is we, as you have it in Onwe, as you have it in Onwo. And then you have the digraph that is a letter giver, NY, representing the sound ni. Ni.
Ya can't hear and when it ni.
Ni, as you have it in enye.
Oh, it me like Kevin I got here. MW Nede.
MW is me. It's a nasal consonant.
Okay.
Okay. Let me give you a very simple way of identifying them. For instance, amen angona amen. Why is spell the do? Uwe me that is a phonetic spelling.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Then ni, that's elephant. Uwe ni on your elephant. Where do? Then why they have spell oma? Uwe me or me. You have three sounds there.
Yes.
But when you are writing it, the me is written with MW.
Yes. Oh.
But only where home, right here, Oma, the me. Then, Omo, where, oh, we, oh, there are three sounds.
Yes.
Oh, we, oh. You can see here and the wakati this. Other vowel after them. So oh, we, oh, one. But I am going to talk. I wear O, N, W, O with a subdot. Full stop.
Oh.
Yes.
NW.
Anyway, the we,
okay. Okay.
We. That is what you also have in Owe. That's the we. So if I want to we, a consonant iwe. Na iwe ta we. Which is different from we.
Different from me.
Yeah, because me is a different sound.
Yes.
And then you have why you say anyo now, anyo. Ni, oh. Ni, oh, anyo. So there are three sounds, but when you are writing it, the a is represented with the letter A. And then the ni, which is the nasal consonant, is represented with the digraph, that's a letter giver, NY. And then the O, follows, because that O becomes O automatically, because it is following a nasal consonant.
Or do I N Y O?
Oh no! In letters were ANY O with a subdot.
Yeah, you know. I'm only Anna.
That letter A is pronounced A.
Yes.
Then after that, you have NY. That's ANY O with a subdot. But you have to say where Anyo. That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
I got you. What's it?
Well, any other question?
Yeah, Professor Kumbona. Why I entered this platform very late. Why I'm trying to learn this. This is quite interesting. We're certainly for all information you have been providing on this platform. A video near recording now. Where are we going to have it on the platform? I know that there were previous video that were done. Are we going to have it available on the platform?
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, what platform?
Okay, well, what's it?
It's all the lectures. The platform.
What's it?
I don't mind the platform.
Okay, what's it?
She will make them available to you.
What's it?
Now, maybe when na spell Okumbona now.
Yes.
You know, on your do.
Okay.
Mamie, ya spell na iwe O K B O.
Okay.
And the O is written with O with a subdot. So there is that R doesn't have any place in the door at all.
Okay.
The confusion if you know the basic rule to follow, it's very easy to write.
Sometimes.
Allah, when I yet na wa gbebela dia na atie.
Agbenebe.
Wala me ma emio wala wi honi aveso. Owa no gbedo kin edo yagbin wa. When ya kin yagbin wa edo yagbon.
Yes.
Owa no whoever do kin wa erika igun ninye bedo de we redo.
Oh yes.
Mendo imu egbagbagba me oriyan me. Ni amufua. When I wear hair, when no na me wear amio henede imi wa we egbayo. Iho ni ya me have be no keke negati ni ya wo e.
Mami na
Nutana oluga ne nika en dekere.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Oluga nika en dekere oluga kere oluga no ro amapologbe.
Apologbe. Mami you know, the Bokpa Road, the title na Wagiara Bedwe say. From the beginning to the end.
Okay.
With all the illustrations and all. Okay.
No, ni honi gati ni mi na ni magbe eyo kata agani. O se we be no na ga professor aga yisi.
Yeah, it was my lecturer.
Exactly.
Yeah, teaching man.
Professor Agaisi, all the men at the Department of Linguistics were Uniben.
Ni say ayo to the Unilag. E me we. Professor Emovo.
Of course.
Professor Emovo was my lecturer.
Exactly.
Back on very well.
Yes.
Okay, I got you seen me way. A kid of when I am looking no me.
Runda, mami, again, Nijimani na, you know, again, in the 70s, you know, linguistics, my way, you know, develop, say, so now, you know, each of the sounds, you know, acoustically.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what's it? Boy, yeah, where ain't now near Lawa, boy. I mean your partner, Nanaka Gwegbe.
Exactly.
I'm your name, necessity you wear me.
Exactly.
And then Runda, ain't now near or what am I we make neck. Yeah, well, what we money we got only bed now. Nibe where Nanya or Webu ear cockman a yoto. So my guy only got a be wenny.
Okay. Okay.
Like
Benin
Nukani or Amazon.com.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. Amazon.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I want to get a copy, how do I go about it?
I don't know one already one. There's no problem.
Okay.
Every